My lords, today I bring a report on a newly established civilization in our galaxy, Mindwardens. They appear to have been a staunch anti-psionic faction wishing to end the so-called plague of psionics in the galaxy. We have found records of their civilization on the planet Doham, Dr. Veneer reports. We discovered records of these Mindwardens on the devastated planet of Doham. Apparently, long ago when these people, the Kiridans, were a pre-FTL species, they suffered a violent psionic attack which delved into their minds, and destructive radiation was diffused throughout the atmosphere of their home planet. This attack was apparently encouraged by psionic practitioners from within their own society. In response to these threats, their people built something called the Ancient Ward. This would protect them against mind-invading forces. With only routine maintenance, this venerable structure has proved strong enough to defend the planet from the threat of psionic influence, and its core technology has informed the development of other defences for the mind. This ward, it would appear, kept the psionic attacks at bay for centuries, but all of this would begin to change when the Mindwardens reached FTL and left the relative safety of their own star system. The records that we found detail a chain of events that happened not long after they developed faster than light travel. They read, "Our psi-suppressive ancient ward is beginning to produce irregular readings. This would normally result from spikes in psionic activity on the homeworld, but we have found no evidence of such depravity. We believe that the answer may lie beyond our borders. Long-distance imagery shows a recent burst of strange energy flows from the Dothon system. This correlates with the erratic measurements of the ancient ward. Thus, we will set about exploration of the Dothon system immediately." Not long after our science crews entered the system, we began to receive reports that an alarming situation was developing. The crew of the KWS Jiao Bak is suffering a range of psychological symptoms: emotional turmoil, debilitating mental stress, and recurrent visions of unspeakable horror. Their ship's systems were also experiencing strange erratic malfunctions. It appears that these phenomena closely match the experiences that were recorded by our ancestors centuries ago before they built the ancient ward. This is most likely what they referred to as psi radiation, a particularly destructive form of energy emission. Outside of the protection of the ancient ward on our homeworld, we are for the first time in centuries experiencing the mental blight that our forebears warned us of. After calibrating our long-range scanners to detect this unique form of energy, we discovered the source of these dangerous emissions to be the nearby Alo Hebcore system. Sending any of our vessels deeper into this is strongly discouraged until we can evaluate exactly what's going on in this system. Thus, that's what we set about to do, and astonishingly, the system appears to contain a number of large objects that may be of intelligent construction. We need to learn more about their creators, which we've codenamed the Z-Aliens, and we will attempt to establish communication from a safe distance. Any life forms found in the system must be in great danger from the high levels of radiation that we've detected. Further study has been ongoing, and we've confirmed that the objects in the Hebcore system are alien spacecraft, though sadly we have been unable to make contact with any of the vessel's occupants. Most troublingly, our envoy assigned to make first contact with the aliens reports that he and his team have begun to suffer from parapsychological symptoms, including unexplained visions of strange beings present in the system. Despite these concerns, our envoy remains steadfast in his dedication to the mission. Months have now passed and we have only received silence, but finally we had a transmission from our envoy, Ganak Wek. Usually sober and direct, the envoy gave us a bizarre and muddled report. He submitted rambling descriptions of strange imagery and apparently a tangle of dreams and delusions. No member of his team proved to be any more coherent than he did. They, as such, have been relieved of their duties, and we have suspended this mission indefinitely. Whatever presence is in that star system is currently beyond our means to investigate. This was clearly a disturbing development indeed, and that's not the worst to come. Our communications officer, who was in contact with the envoy team upon ending the call, became locked in some sort of trance or vision. The particulars are unclear, but they described it as being suspended in a rolling current above our homeworld. They watched a surface twist open and a fetid miasma belched from unseen depths. When they finally came around, they described the experience as ceaseless, suffocating, and terrible. This puts us at somewhat of an impasse. We cannot push any deeper into this region of space due to the psionic risks, and we do not seem to be able to establish contact with the aliens living there. We wonder, are they responsible for this psionic aura, or are they just trapped inside it? In more disturbing news, the psionic infection has begun spreading into the nearby Dalton system. Despite the protections offered by the ancient ward, this encroachment has caused the population on the homeworld to begin to experience mild symptoms suggestive of psionic radiation poisoning. Projections show that this mind plague may soon expand into our own star system, where it will pose an even greater danger to the homeworld. Since being exposed to extremely high levels of psionic radiation, the crew of the Dothan station is experiencing even worse psychological distress than was previously reported. The starbase's systems are also beset by severe malfunctions, effectively neutralizing most normal capabilities. Despite these risks, our best hope of learning how to protect ourselves more thoroughly is to study the phenomenon closest to the source. It was decided that we must devote our entire scientific resource to attempting to prevent the spread of this psionic phenomenon any further. For the sake of our own people, we must learn to strengthen the ancient ward on our homeworld. Years passed, and our tireless researchers finally developed a method for strengthening the ancient ward on the homeworld. By enhancing its psionic attenuators, the protection can be extended to cover not only the whole planet, but the entire star system. This research has simulated broader study into this forgotten technology. We now know that the link between psi radiation and our own mind is reciprocal. Not only can these emissions affect our mental states, but our mental states can influence this psionic radiation. It would seem that our immemorial taboo against psionic practices has a scientific basis after all, yet these findings are both fascinating and troubling. What we have found is that the ancient ward on our homeworld has reached its functional limit. In order to deal with the nearby psionic threat, it will be necessary to enhance its capabilities even further. We are designing a new Grand Ward, and we hope that this will be capable of protecting our entire population as we are spreading out amongst the stars against the blight of this psionic aura. Again, it took years to complete, but finally I am able to say that the Grand Ward is complete. The psionic radiation levels on our homeworld have been reduced to manageable levels, and the population is gradually recovering from the adverse effects. Nevertheless, the psionic aura, and potentially others, still poison our galaxy. Our scientists have hypothesized that the technology of the Grand Ward could be amplified to the development of a more powerful Shroud seal. These massive structures should be able to suppress auras in entire star clusters. Building a Shroud seal in the Dothan system will be a significant advancement in controlling and containing this psionic menace. This research is most definitely worthy of pursuit, and it would appear that the shadows of the Shroud are indeed upon us. Several more months have passed, and our scientists have now completed development of the advanced psionic suppression technology that can replicate the effects of the Grand Ward. We are calling it a psionic suppressor. However, to control the spread of these psionic auras in other systems, we'll need to construct a more powerful device known as a Shroud seal. This sophisticated machine will gradually dissipate any psionic auras until it is suppressed entirely, in both the host system and those in direct connection via hyperlanes. The research has also given credence to a disturbing theory. An ethereal realm known as the Shroud, a dimension of psionic energy described in occult texts of old, appears to actually exist. The theory posits that the cognitive activity of sentient beings can cause energy to pass from the Shroud into observable reality, and this process is the root cause of psionic auras in general. This means that we are not merely contending with the objective forces of the universe, but potentially calculated actions of an unknown threat. The Shroud, it would seem, is real after all, and the Shroud seal will attenuate nearby psionic auras. This sophisticated machine emits a low-frequency wave that's capable of counteracting psionic energy, thereby dissipating it and eventually nullifying it altogether. Mere days passed since our construction of the Shroud seal, and we received an unexpected transmission from beyond the Dothan system. It was the alien species that we spent years trying to contact. They called themselves the Disciples of the Lost. They somehow gained complete mastery of both our language and communication systems. A figure appeared on screen, calling himself the Psyarch Hololath Scarret. They were pacing and appeared agitated, but it communicated with a steady, hypnotic rhythm, punctuated by extended pauses. Our neighbours. Given your non-response to direct contact, we have resorted to the judgery of crude telecoms. This matter is urgent. Forgive the lack of formality. Your device in the Dothan system is inhibiting the spread of our auric flow. We assume this intolerable situation is the result of your ignorance, a mistake on your part. Our aura benefits all and should shine throughout the galaxy. To demonstrate your commitment to the greater good, we demand that you dismantle your so-called Shroud seal. We initially attempted to commune with you via the true voice, psionically. Had you listened, you would have heard the call within. You have the gift, though you choose to suppress it. We responded, verbally of course, attempting to explain the danger that this aura represents to us. It was destructive, a plague if you will. They quickly responded. Your understanding is faulty. The aura is a sacred gift of our protector. It casts down that which seeks to destroy us. Then they gave us a choice. Remove the seal, or they would declare war upon us. This clearly was not an option to us. We could not remove the psionic seal. It was our only protection against these assaults. And so, the Psionic Wars would come to pass. Initially, we sent a battle fleet consisting of approximately 100 small attack vessels, corvettes and frigates. We hoped to catch these psionics off guard. After all, they only had a sole bastion in the Allo headcore system. It was largely undefended. Our ships flew in. And that's when we realised our mistake. Our battle fleet had flown out of the range of the Shroud seal. Here it would seem we were unprotected. We were exposed to the full intensity of the Shroud aura and the whispers of this dreamer. It was a bloodbath. Although we should have had no trouble in defeating this small station, the crews of the ships lulled in confusion. Our own ships collided, weapons misfired, and shields that should have been raised were not. This was further compounded when an enemy fleet translated in system. Of our 100-strong battle fleet, less than 10% survived, and they only escaped due to emergency FTL measures. It was a brutal day for our people, and we learnt that we drastically needed overwhelming numbers to even attempt to assault these psionic systems. And so, we spent the next few decades rebuilding, for while we couldn't effectively enter their systems, it seemed that they would struggle in ours. We were a lion fighting a shark, both deadly, but outside of our own environments, useless. Eventually, we were able to field a significant battle group, thousands of vessels, and not just small attack craft. We sent destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and even a Titan. We sent our battle group at them in full force, and they were the anti-psionic sword that would tear apart their systems. The Shroud could not save them from us. The aliens had inhabited 2 planets, Frozak and their homeworld, Orozak. The colony of the psionic menace on Frozak was quickly conquered, and we soon learned that the psionic aura present in the system was being amplified by the population's psychic interactions with the Shroud. These practices were led by a group of elite telepaths. They called themselves the Assembly of Mindways. This psionic cult promotes devotion to their patron, allegedly a powerful entity from the Shroud, which they called the Dreamer. Their sacred texts make repeated mention of an artifact related to this being. Apparently, it was still on their homeworld. Acquiring this object should aid us in preventing further spread of the influence. Thus, once we had executed the Assembly of the Mindways, we moved on to their homeworld, Orozak. The battle was short. We had exhausted all of their naval strength in prior battles, and their armies fell beneath the bombardment of our navy. When we dropped our Mindwarden Knights onto the planet, victory was swift and brutal. The conquest of the alien homeworld would mark our final victory against the Disciples of the Lost. We instituted an immediate crackdown on all psionic practices across the worlds, and completely neutralized their abominable psionic aura. Any member of their psychic assembly was immediately executed. In the planet's principal metropolis lay a ruined tower, which was called the Sanctum of the Dreamer. This was once the high temple of the former Empire's now disgraced psionic assembly. Our soldiers described it as radiating a numinous, unsettling presence. The innermost chamber of the structure housed a tightly sealed cocoon, emanating a powerful level of localized psionic radiation. Standard munitions proved ineffective at breaching its exterior, and further investigation was required to be able to eliminate the potential threat that this object posed. Thus, our researchers set about conducting a thorough analysis of this cocoon. External scans revealed it to be a highly secure receptacle designed to contain a powerful psionic entity. Despite the container's insulative layers of heavy alloy, high levels of psionic radiation was still able to permeate through the enclosure. We brought in a number of psionic attenuators, machines that were assembled around the cocoon. When activated, everyone in the vicinity was struck with searing levels of neural distress. The surface of the cocoon then twisted, its void became a shift-in helix, and the aperture opened. Soon we received direct communication from within. This creature pushed its way into our mind and had the following to say. You hear, but you do not listen. The wheel spins as we listen and the stars spin as we sing. I am dreaming of a song, but the voices have gone silent. Where did the chorus go? You cannot hear them. Your mind lacks understanding. I could show you my dreams, the making of worlds. You need only listen. This song is true, because it is beautiful, a beautiful truth. But your mind is closed. Can it be opened? I am still there. I listen to the songs of two worlds. This is muted. To sing you must listen, let go of yourself, and share in my beauty. With that, it disappeared. Our psionic attenuators finally managed to negate the danger the creature posed for now, but it was unclear how long our devices can restrain its influence. It's possible that under controlled circumstance, we could harness its terrible power for our own purpose. Nevertheless, many in our society are calling for its immediate destruction. Clearly, its very existence stands against our long-held values. Although there was some debate, the debate didn't last very long. Our people chose to destroy this cocoon, and we rejoiced as a people. After centuries of torment, the cause of this psionic plague was defeated and destroyed. May we feel eternal happiness from this day to the end of time. It appears, my lords, that despite initial thoughts, this was not actually the end of the tale. A subset of the Mindwardens had infiltrated their military forces and managed to smuggle the device away. It was not destroyed after all. If you can believe it, they found a way to wake it back up. It called itself the Dreamer. It was an entity from within the Shroud, a former patron of a non-existent psionic empire. How it materialized into our reality is unknown, but its unique connection with the psionic realm granted it profound power. It was able to boost the psionic seals of the Mindwarden, but when activated, those in the room felt their minds implode. Thoughts penetrated their mind. Those in the room describe hearing a melody, bright but abrasive. It was both pain, great, and familiar, and they heard several words. You listened. The dream is yours. Sing. Sing. 3 shrouded worlds would appear in their space systems, as if from nowhere, and within weeks the Shroud receded from these worlds, leaving glorious Gaia worlds, fit for colonization. Whether the Mindwardens would receive any negative effects from this, we don't know, but we do have one final entry. It would appear that they set up a system of enclaves that still exists to this day. The final entry reads, "We have amassed great knowledge of the Shroud and developed advanced technologies to suppress its adverse effects. While debating how to apply this mastery galaxy-wide, our fleet commanders put forward an interesting proposal. They suggested setting up one of our fleets as an independent Mindwarden enclave, which would provide anti-psionic assistance throughout the galaxy. Our initial investment would fund the construction of a space station, and in return we would receive a share of future revenue. Their operational independence would allow for large-scale deployment of such facilities. Naturally, we could also make use of their services, and receive back a cut of our own payments. And my lords, it would appear that they did indeed go down this route. They set up a cadet of Mindwardens who exist to battle any and all psionic elements that exist within the galaxy.